Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Paranormal Geeks Radio. I'm your host, Jim Heater. This is April 8th, 2014. Beautiful day here in Central Illinois, and another nice one tomorrow. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. It's going to be a good show tonight. It's going to be a two-part show. And want to start off by talking a little bit about what's going to be going on here the next week or so. Well, we'll just do the next week. Next weekend, of course, is the Scarefest Road Trip, which is over in Springfield, Illinois at the Prairie Capital Convention Center. It starts Saturday on 4/12. The doors open at noon. There is a costume contest, and the meet and greet is from 12 until 4. And in the main hall, down where Paranormal Geeks Radio and Champaign, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois Paranormal Society will both have a booth down there. The main hall opens from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It also runs Sunday, 4/13, and it is running for 10 a.m. From 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. And I'm glad they're starting this later. A couple of things we've been to and had booths at, they have a late night, and then we open up and start everything at 8 o'clock. That's just a little bit too early when you're out of town, if you know what I mean. Now, the guests they're going to have this year, let's see. There is R.A. Mahalahoff. I'm sure I massacred his name. Speaking of massacre, he is from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He was Chainsaw Massacre 3. He was Hatchet on that show. Robert Mukes. He was, and I cannot read it. It's too small of a writing. Maybe something House of 1,000 Corpses, I believe it is. Tony Moran, he was from Halloween. Stephen Dash, he was from Friday the 13th, Part 2. These guys are all going to be there, no doubt signing autographs. You get your picture taken with them. Usually they charge $20-25 to personalize an autograph picture. And usually if they do that, if you buy that from them, they will pose for a picture with you. I don't know if that's going to be the way it is here. That's the way it usually is on a lot of these paracons and stuff. Now, on the paranormal side, some famous ghost hunters, Dustin Pari from Ghost Hunters International and regular old ghost hunters. I'm really looking forward to Dustin. Talking to Dustin, I talked to him a little bit late last week, and he was still, I was making sure he was still going to be there, and he assured me he would be. Katrina Weidman, she was from Paranormal State. I'm sorry, I was not that big of a fan of Paranormal State, so I don't remember her. So, but maybe I'll meet her too. And Ms. Chris Williams, she was also on Ghost Hunters International and on Ghost Hunters. She was a cute girl that they always have to have a cute one, and she fit the bill there on Ghost Hunters International and Ghost Hunters. There's also going to be some entertainers. Circus Envy, he looks like some creepy-ass clown. He's going to be there. Reed and Ashton Masterson. He is, I guess, a very good magician. And he's going to be Saturday. He's going to be on the Saturday afternoon bill upstairs before the main floor opens. Excuse me. The Mystery Machine is going to be there. This is the original Mystery Machine. It's not somebody's old Dodge van that they pulled out of a river and painted up and make it look like the Mystery Machine. This is actually owned by Hanna-Barbera back in the 60s. And I got to see that 2 weeks ago. I had my picture taken with it. That was a great honor. I was always a fan of Scooby-Doo. Loved that show. Always wanted to marry Velma. That never did happen, so I'll find someone else. Make that number 4. Let's see. Chris Suicidal Blair. And I'm not 100% sure what he is. He's a cosplay artist. He is going to be there. And I'm sorry, I have no idea what cosplay is. I imagine if I was 37 instead of 57, I would know this, but I don't. So anyway, next weekend at the Prairie Capital Convention Center in Springfield, Illinois. And the good thing about this is it's free. It's free. The people that organize Scarefest, I remember last weekend I had Jennifer Kirkland on the show. They've been asked by a major cable channel to put this together. And what it is, it's to show how they go from one event to another, how you can flip a show or flip a floor in one of these convention centers, how fast you can do it and everything. So it's going to actually be a documentary. So hopefully I'll be able to get my mug on TV for a little while. That'd be kind of fun. Now, also, next Saturday, I am going to try my best to do a live remote. Now, those of you that have been listening to the show since its inception will, if it's inception, might be conception. I don't know. Either one of those two. You'll know that I've had a little trouble on some of my live remotes. One of them didn't come off at all. One of them, the volume wasn't very high. And let's see, the other one, I think it turned out pretty well. So when I spoke about UFOs down in Charleston, Illinois, or down in Mattoon, Illinois last year, I think that one actually worked out. So we're going to try to do another one. It's going to be from 6 to 7 p.m. next Saturday night. I've talked to a couple people. I've got a couple people committed for interviews, and it's going to end up being a pretty good time. I'm really looking forward to it. Haven't been able to make the one down in what was that? Not Knoxville, Lexington, Kentucky. Now they are going to go ahead and they are going to have the real Scarefest down in Lexington this year, but this is something that this cable channel asked them to throw together really kind of at the last minute, the last month, and Jennifer has done a great job getting this all together, getting these guests and stuff lined up. So anyway, let's move on, onward and upward. Tonight's first guest, he is a director and writer of independent films. He was born kind of close to us, Valparaiso, Indiana. And when I contacted him to be on the show, I told him what time the show was, and he says, "Oh, great. You know, that's my time, Central Time." And I asked him, I said, "Well, where do you live?" And he told me, and it's about 17 miles straight south of me. He's living down where where I grew up. And I was like, "I'll be damned. You know, you're close." So, but he hasn't been here very long. But anyway, I say he's an independent film director and producer. We'll find out exactly what he does in some of these movies. But anyway, we'll bring him on right now, Mr. Cameron Scott. Cameron, welcome to Paranormal Geeks Radio.
Hey, and thank you for having me, Jim. Nice being here. And, yeah, it is kind of odd to find out that we were about a 15-minute drive away from each other. This shows how small we were.
I was really surprised. You know, Sharon got a hold of me and said, "You really need to get this guy on your show." I was okay. She didn't know where you lived, and when I got back with her, I said, "He lives down, a stone's throw away from me." And it is a small world, because I don't think of Champaign-Urbana being a place where there's I know we have a lot of filmmakers here in this town, but with that genre. Here, the horror and stuff.
The first thing I found out about was Ebert Fest when I came down here. I didn't realize, Roger Ebert was from the area, and that was the first thing when I was doing my job interview down here. They're like, "Oh yeah, if you're a filmmaker, you'll fit right in." I'm like, it's such a small community when you find out, that they have something that cool down here. Which, of course, I moved down here as soon as the fest was over, so I didn't get to check.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, that's the way it always happens. But, it's just this.
Yeah, he was actually... I'm sorry, go on.
I've always lived in the Midwest, and it's actually it's not that surprising when you find out just how many of these independent filmmakers actually seem to be from the Midwest. It seems like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio just kind of breeds us low-budget independent guys.
Yeah, that's true. Look at some of the bigger ones. Halloween, I think it was supposed to have taken place. I know, it was supposed to be taking place in Illinois. A lot of shows of Chicago draws them, or the suburbs do. So that helps.
Right.
But Roger Ebert went to school. He was born and raised in Urbana and went to school in the Urbana schools. And it was later on in life when he was up at WGN in Chicago doing his shows up there. He would come down here every year, and they would do the Ebert Fest, and it was really cool. It was our day in the limelight, because it always seemed to make the news or the national news. And of course, last year, I guess it was his last year down here, and might have been the year before. And he finally passed away. Right.
That's why I wondered if they were saying something about his wife might be carrying it on, the following year in his memory. So that would be pretty cool if they kept doing it. Because, the thing is that he it seemed like a big fan of horror movies, which tends to be the genre that I'm in. But he was a big, fan of independent film, which is a good thing.
Right.
He wasn't a big fan of the genre, but he was at least a fan of the low-budget guys. I mean, and a lot of people understand. I mean, he was a screenwriter early on, wrote a couple of screenplays for a few independent flicks back in the day long before he was ever, famous for being of Siskel and Ebert fame, which I find very hot. Some of the films that he worked on, he would, he seemed to disparage upon horror movies and exploitation flicks, but, he wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, probably one of the most exploitive flicks ever made. So, it's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I'm putting a message in chat. I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, but as long as the guests can hear you, I can pick out enough where I know what you're saying. If not, I may have you hang up and call back in if you could. But we'll find out for sure. See who can hear you. Now,
yeah, if I can out, let me know, and I'll call back in.
Okay. Yeah, like right then, you sounded real clear. I got you real good.
Right on.
How did you get involved in not only independent films, but the genre you picked, the horror films?
Well, we may have to make this a two-part show, but I will do my best. Well, just, actually, I had a very cool mom who let me kind of experience horror movies probably at a younger age than I ever should have, of seeing, bloody horror, nasty, disgusting, exploitive type cinema. And it kind of twisted me into the gentleman I am today. I'm a big fan of all type of film, but I mean, I love, grindhouse type movies. I love independent flicks. I love foreign movies. I'm actually a big fan of like Italian horror, the Japanese and Chinese horror and action and things like that. But believe it or not, my favorite. Right. They're the most entertaining to me. And the only thing I probably like even as much, or if not more than that, are westerns, which I kind of work a lot. It's kind of hard to, especially on a micro-budget independent level, to make a western these days. But I try to work western elements in if and when I can. But yeah, I remember my first movie memory was going to the drive-in to see Fulci's Zombie in like 1981. I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I remember seeing that at the drive-in. And I think that was pretty much the beginning, or you want to say the beginning of the end, perhaps. But I just at a young age, I saw these horror movies and became a big fan of it, and was writing as young as probably 9, 10, 11 years old, and started writing scripts and making little films on my video camera and whatnot. But I didn't really get involved until I was about probably about 26, 27, and I got invited to a movie set by an actress friend of mine. It was near Indianapolis. It was for a film called It Came from Trafalgar, and that was the first time I got to taste what it was like to be on a set. And a friend of mine was Linnea Quigley. She had invited me to come to the set, and I visited for a few days. And, of course, on any independent set, if you're there, you're helping. If you're standing around just watching, you'll be given something to do. So next thing I know, I was, moving around set pieces and set decorating, and then was invited to come back a couple months later and help with some camera work and do some behind-the-scenes type stuff. And that was it all just kind of, was like the snowball rolling down a hill. It just kind of avalanched at that point. A couple months later, I packed up everything I had and moved down there and helped out with filming for actually a couple of years. And it just kind of, I guess you can say it as I owe it all to Linnea for, inviting me to that set, because if she hadn't, who knows, I might be, working a gas station today. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, so with you being an independent filmmaker, or some people, or they call them an indie filmmaker, can you explain?
You cut out there a little bit. What was that? I'm sorry. I seem to have lost the connection. I am going to try to call back in case there's a problem on my end. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hello, Cameron? Okay, yeah, I got cut off. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We are back.
Sorry if that was on my end. I apologize. I have what I call an actual smartphone.
It was, so do I, and I had the beep and then I disconnected, so that was all me. But I think I do hear you a little bit better now. Maybe it was my end. I might not have had a bad. I might have had a bad connection to begin with. Okay, I believe my question was can't remember. I explain to the audience what an independent filmmaker actually is.
You know what? I describe independent filmmakers as one-man armies or one-person armies because you kind of have to be a jack of all trades. You have to be, at most times, you are your writer, your producer, your director, your storyboard artist, and, everything in between. And, you can't get the movie made without help, of course. You got to have crew, but there's so many aspects of it that you end up doing yourself. And, it's like I started as a writer and went on to directing, producing, and I've done, every little thing behind the camera that you can possibly imagine, editing, special effects, and whatnot. But to be truly indie, or at least to be successful, you got to be a one-man army. And you got to be a little bit crazy, too. But I think what people forget about independent filmmaker is the word itself, is being independent. And to me, that means being free of, like, the Hollywood scene, I guess, and not having someone hanging over your shoulder telling you what you can do and what you can shoot and not shoot. And it's kind of having free reign.
Okay. So you, like you said, when you first show up if you show up on a set, you're doing a little bit of everything. So it's more or less the same thing, and you just don't have the big Warner Brothers numbers or money behind you.
Right, and it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I've often said, being an independent filmmaker, you're only held back, really by budget. Your imagination can run wild, and you can write whatever you want to write, and you could realistically film whatever you want to film, but the question is do you have the budget in place to be able to shoot it? So I kind of feel like it's liberating, but kind of restrictive at the same time, but it's the only way I know how to do it.
What would you rather have, a huge budget or unlimited reign of the script, where you can take it anywhere you want to take it?
Limited reign of the script. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
It would be nice to be able to raise bigger budgets and whatnot, but the one time I had people helping financially to help me with a film, it was the one time where I had people trying to tell me what to do, and it was just exhausting. And I'm not much of a fan of it, but not saying that I would ever turn down a major payday that would ever, because my thought it would be if for some of these checks that some people can get written to do a big film, I could make micro budget independent films on those kind of budgets. So, but I just enjoy the freedom of kind of letting my mind wander wherever it wants to go, and and I've adapted my writing style, from my teen years to my 20s to now my late 30s. I've adapted it to know, as an independent filmmaker, I think that, at least for me, the first thing I think about and I know of is only write with what you have. If you only have a pickup truck and that's the only car you have, don't write your character driving a Trans Am, because you don't have a Trans Am. If you if you only have a farmhouse to shoot in, but you have a creepy basement, use the creepy basement. Don't write in a hospital if you don't have a hospital to shoot in, because then that's dollars flying out the door.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. What's the average dollar amount that you spend on one of your movies?
Well, I've actually just this past November released my first feature. I have done, I think it's 8. I'd have to really sit and think about now. 9, possibly 10 short films. I've worked on a lot of short films, but this is I've worked on a few features for other fellow filmmakers and whatnot, but Postmortem America 2021 was my first feature. I spent 5 years making it. Had some ups and downs. Of course, it was the financial difficulties. And what I didn't know when I started in 2008 was, again, writing for only with what you have. I wrote an epic script, and then, of course, was a bigger budget. It was probably north of $20,000 to shoot the entire picture, and it was, it was about a 2-hour film when it was done in the final stages of editing. But for the short films I've done, I've shot very, very, very micro budget. I mean, most of them have cost anywhere from $100 to $250, $300. And then most of them were short films. I mean, they were 10-minute films. For a friend of mine named Jason Hoover of Jab Pictures, he has this collection of films that come out called The Collective. And there's 10 short films by 10 filmmakers, each of them posted here to the time limit of being 10 minutes long. But each volume is based off of one singular idea or object. Like the one we're doing now is based off of keys. Each filmmaker got a key, and the previous idea was the filmmaker's greatest fear, and like beyond that, there was a zombie apocalypse was another theme. 10 Minutes to Live was another theme, and the list goes on, and each volume had a different theme. But it was really neat. It was like that. It was like being in school again, where you would get where the stories where each student would write a different chapter, and you never knew what the next person was going to come up with. So it was really neat. So none of the other filmmakers know what the other filmmakers are doing until the DVD actually comes out. So it's very interesting to see, you just give 10 filmmakers an idea, and you tell them, all right, the theme is 10 minutes to live. Whatever that means to you, you write it, you shoot it, you produce it, and Jason assembles them together. And we've shown them at various film festivals, and like Horror Hound, Days of the Dead, and a few others. But, I've done several on those, and this has been very, it's like going to film school, which I never did. I never did go to film school. I was self-taught. I read a lot of books, watched thousands of movies and documentaries and whatnot, so I'm kind of a self-taught sort of guy. And it was very cool. Liberating. It was like each volume was like a new film school, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I know a couple of people that have been to film school, and they think as soon as they graduate college and they have their degree, man, they can start charging, $500, $600, $700 to photograph a wedding, when the week before they were charging $50. And that doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. Just that piece of paper. I mean, it's what's in your head, what's in your mind, and in your heart. That's what's going to get you going, and that seems to be what you got going.
Right. It was just I was just a fan of it. I've always been a film geek or a film nerd, or whatever you want to call it. And it was this. I was given a piece of advice by actually Tony Todd, who was Candyman, at one of the first conventions I ever went to.
Oh, yeah.
I had a book. And keep in mind, I was 16 years old when I met him, so this is about 21 years ago. And I had this book called Scare Tactics by John Russo, and I was reading up on how to make a film, and shoot, like a real film, and not just like go out with a couple of my high school buddies and shoot something. I want to know how to shoot a real film. And he gave me advice. He told me another book to get, which was another one by John Russo called How to Make Your Own Film for $10,000 or Less. And then he autographed it, and he told me, he's like, don't think about it, go out and make a movie. He's like, this is the only way you'll ever learn. Go out and make a movie. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. So 20 years later, when I finished my first feature, and I was able to go at him at the convention where it premiered at, and hand him a copy of the DVD and be like, hey, I listened. Here you go. Just watch it. And that was it was like being 16 years old all over again. It was a very neat thing. Some very cool guy, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember back in high school, I was one of the classes I took a filmmaking class, and it was so much fun putting together our feature, which there were three of us. It was myself and two other people, and we had to put together a movie, and we did a bank robbery and a car chase scene, and yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. I loved the editing part. This was back when you had Super 8 movie film. So, we had to cut it and splice it and, do it all the old-fashioned way. That was so much fun. Really enjoyed doing that.
You know, it's funny. I mean, it is so much different now with digital and everything. It's all done on a PC or a Mac, but I still kind of find the post-production part the most fun. It's like putting together a big puzzle. Like, you got all the chunks and the pieces. You just got to figure out how to assemble it just right. You know, each piece will eventually go into place. And if it does, then the funny thing is, again, being much like a puzzle, you will know if a piece does not fit in right. Because it'll be so disjarring, you'll be like, oh, God, no, that doesn't fit there, and that doesn't go there.
Exactly. We do have a caller. We have someone here that has a question would like to talk to you. Her name is Heather, and she is from Indiana. Heather, welcome to Paranormal Geeks Radio.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Hi, Cam.
Hey, great.
Oh, yeah, I know who this is.
Blast from the past time.
Yeah.
So, I seen that it was up on Facebook, and I'm sharing the message because I was so proud to hear that you were getting interviewed right now, and I just wanted to chime in a few things. Hold on, let me run away from my son who's screaming. Congratulations on all your success. I know that you're going to go far, and I've always known that since the time I was 15 and met you and fell in love with your writing.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I agree completely with what you are saying.
I was going to say, for the listeners, though, I have known this woman here for about 20 years. She's a sweetheart. This is the first time we've probably talked in, how long?
It's been quite some years.
Yeah. It's been a few
but I've
years.
never stopped thinking of you, and you know that.
I know. I've never stopped thinking of you in Big Preston either.
But your work, my acreage, just so you know, I still have 27 acres. Is always open for any time that you need to use it.
Right on.
It's an open door. I don't live far. I mean, if you come back to Indiana this way, you still have full access. All you need to do is let me know, and we'll clear the place out, and you guys can vamp this place out whatever way makes you comfortable. If you want to film out here, if you want to use the woods, whatever helps you out. I agree with the way you do your films. I like the fact that you don't junk them up with all the CGI garbage. I like the real, raw material. Yeah. I think that it brings something more realistic to your work. It's artistic. It's well thought out. It shows a lot more character to me than just punching a few computer buttons. So I admire it very much so.
I have to agree with you. You're absolutely right.
And and I will say in defense of the film I just made, we did have to do some CGI, so don't hate me too much.
And that's good. It's good to add some, add it for character. But when you're starting out small and you're trying to grow, you start somewhere. You plant a seed and you let that seed grow, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You
remember singing Pink Cadillac and dreaming about this in your car?
Yes.
You'll slap me later for saying that on the radio, but you remember all those books you kept writing for ideas?
Yep, I remember.
And I always said, you're going to make it, Cam.
Right, yeah. I was just talking about one of them books there just a couple of minutes ago. It's just funny. I still have all those books. I have every single one of them.
You kept them for inspiration to remind you that one of these days you said, I'm going to make it, and when I do, I want to look back on this and I want to remember all the people that were in it.
Right, exactly.
And you kept that true.
Well, the thing was, it hit a certain point when I realized that it could be done. That you can kind of make your own films. Once I realized, I can do this. I can do this just like anybody else can.
You can.
Just like the advice I was given by Tony Todd, just make a movie. Just do it. There's nothing stopping you. Everybody talks about making a movie. Just shut the pardon me, I don't know what your rating is here. I almost dropped an F-bomb, but just shut up and make a movie. We'll just say that.
You know how it works? It's like this. Money can take you so many places, yes, but what really takes you the farthest is passion. If you have passion, you are unstoppable, and you are passionate about this. Nobody can take that from you. The more passion you possess, and if this is what you truly want, you will make it happen, Cam. You've already got this far.
Many people have already tried to take it away, and it's like, for my cold, dead fingers, when they pry it away, I've gotten too far, we've gotten too far already. But yeah, we would talk about it so much back in the day. For 20 years, we would talk about it, and then it just became the time when you say, you know what, talk is cheap. Time to man up.
Very cool. Well, Heather, thank you for calling in tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Heather.
No problem.
Great to hear from you.
Cam, you're a hometown here. We're all rooting for you, and we love you dearly. We miss you like crazy, and if you need anything, you let me know, okay?
Will do. Love you guys.
You want to use this property? It's yours.
Right on. Right on.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. Miss you, Cam.
Good night.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
that was great.
Yeah. Hey, the hometown hero.
That was one of the best phone calls I ever could have gotten. I've known that woman, God, for about 20 years. We've been friends since, God, we were both in high school. That was great. That's good for the old heart.
Exactly. Those always do. Those always do help out a lot. Now, you, along with, of course, making your films, you have your own production company and everything. Can you tell us a little bit about Quattro Venti, or however you pronounce it?
Oh, it's Quattro Venti. It's this. It basically means muscio large in Italian, which or go big, which is my theme in life is go big or go home, and I'm half Sicilian, so it was one of those things I was throwing around 100 different names, writing down stuff and trying to find my production identity, what I wanted my company to be. And actually, I do remember it came down to 2 different names. And the other name, which I don't know if I've ever actually said this on air before, but the other name was going to be Hell or High Water Films was going to be the other name. And it literally was just like, I'm flipping a coin here. I'm like, they both sound good. Both sound badass. I'm like, so, it just kind of was, that was the genesis. I had helped with a Trafalgar film, and I helped that for a few years, and then due to some family issues, I had to move back home from the Indianapolis area to back up north Indiana, near Valparaiso, where I'm from. I had some family issues, and went back home and kind of regrouped for about 2 years, and I spent 2 years writing the Postmortem America 2021 script, and that actually started out as a short film idea until I just decided, I'm not going with a short film, I'm just going with a feature, and I wanted to start Quattro Venti for the exact same reason. It was the same idea of wanting to shoot a film on my own and not having, necessarily someone go, okay, Cameron, here's $20,000, go shoot a film, but then you have to filter every idea and everything you do past me. And the idea of doing that is, it just, maybe it's just, I don't know. It's just something in me that doesn't want to adhere to the rules. Some may say, oh, it's being a rebel, or it is what it is, but I don't know. I just want to do my own thing. It's just quite that simple. And I love to crossbreed genres. That's something I love to do. I don't like to adhere to any one specific genre. With any film that I do, I try to kind of, with Postmortem America, it's part revenge film. It's part dark comedy. It's part Western. It's a zombie film. It's got a little bit of everything. I basically, when I started it, I didn't know if I'd ever make a second film. I thought, I literally said to myself, I may have one chance at this, so I'm throwing the elements of everything I like into the same film. So muscle cars, fast cars, fast women, action, bad guys, larger than life, the villains, the Western angles of the kind of lawlessness of the Old West, and of course zombies, which harkens back to the Lucio Fulci films that I love so much. Once again, it was go big or go home. I kind of created a monster, literally.
Yeah. Now, where did you film Postmortem America?
Most of it was shot in and around my old hometown, which was Wheatfield, Indiana. So it was Wheatfield, Indiana, also Rensselaer, DeMott, Valparaiso, all within Indiana. I did shoot a couple of scenes down in Florida near Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, and I think it was near Orlando. I flew down there and shot some cameos at a convention, but most of it was all shot in and around Indiana. I did some pickup shots in, near here in Illinois, but excuse me, kind of just ended up as a few minutes on camera. It was basically some zombie insert shots. But, yeah, all in the Midwest. It was all shot in about the same couple of towns.
Well, if you ever need a hospital type setting, I think I can set you up with partially, it's an abandoned insane asylum that is haunted. But
you know, I
I'm
mean,
sure
I can talk to you about that. I need something like that for my next film. Actually, I'm going to be shooting in an abandoned schoolhouse. And now I may or may not be able to use the location. So yeah, maybe after the show I'll have to talk to you. I could easily change the script over.
Exactly.
Again, that's about independent filmmaking too. Is about being flexible. Let's
get a hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, let me know and I'll see what I can do. It shouldn't be too hard. Also, I believe I might be able to get you a schoolhouse too, but it's also actually haunted. But yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll find out about both of those, and I'll get back with you.
Yeah, get back. I mean, I'm actually just at the point where I'm writing the last couple of scenes of the script, and I'm polish it up, and then was going to start actually here in the next week or two, start sending it out to actors. So. Yes, it's something I want to try to shoot this summer, basically, once it warms up a little bit more, because you never know. We might drop with the way the weather has been out here. I said that the one thing I'm not fan in Champaign was some of those 30 or 40 degrees below zero days.
Oh, my gosh.
Maybe I should have shot a winter-based horror movie. I should have should have done that. Could have filmed a sequel.
It wouldn't have taken much acting. It was definitely a horror.
Yeah, and then no kidding. It's like, listen, just look out your back window is the sequel to The Thing right out there.
Exactly. Sharon posted in our chat that you need to do the Zombie Housewives books.
You know, we had talked about that. I used to do a blog talk radio show. I haven't done it for quite some time now, but I had interviewed Ron that actually when I read the book, The Zombie Housewives, I kept thinking, I'm like, this, to me, I think that book would work so great as an anthology. You know what I mean? Like, to have, like...
Oh, yeah.
I was, in my head, I kind of envisioned when I read it, I'm like, this would be great if each chapter, a different director, you know what I mean, took the reins on each chapter. I thought that... I don't know what Sharon's thoughts are on that, but that was the idea I had.
Yeah, that'd be like you're talking about the other one with the keys. Someone do each different one, and that would put them all together and just see what it is. That'd be wicked.
Right.
Oh,
actually, for one of the collectors that tried to do that, there was a book in each chapter was going to be directed by another person, but in the end, nobody could agree to what chapter they wanted to do. There was too many egos. I want chapter 5. No, I want chapter 5. But you don't get chapter 5. I get chapter. It was one of the. It just didn't work. But
that's too bad.
Yeah, that was it was a great idea. Still my favorite because there's been 7 of them, and I've done 6 out of the 7. Number 4 I didn't do because I was actually getting married at that time, so there was no time. It was all about wedding planning. But
that's silly.
Yeah, it's like I could have done it, but no. My wife would have killed me. We never made it to the wedding. She'd have killed me before we got married.
Now, along with Postmortem America 2021, that came out last year in 13.
Yeah, it came out in mid-November, so it's only been out for a few months now.
Oh, that's cool. How would if someone wanted to get a hold of this, how would they be able to get a copy of this?
Well, I mean, it's not catching me at a festival or a convention, which I always have copies of, and I'm doing conventions at least, it seems like every month now. They can go to my website. I don't have it on any kind of video on demand or anything like that right now. I'm working on that. But they can pick it up on DVD and soon to be on Blu-ray. We're working on getting the logistics on Blu-ray done. But my website is www.pma2021.com. And all they have to do is go to my website, go to the category Our Films, and they can find any film that I've done.
Sweet. And if they contact you through there, will they be able to purchase one from you that way?
Yeah, they just contact me through there. It's all done straight through my website, and everything is shipped out directly by me, no middlemen, so I take care of all that. And then they can, check out any of the other things that I'm doing. They can check out and find out about conventions and different, because there's screenings for postmortem that are coming up over the next couple months. So anything they need to find out about what I'm doing and any of my films, they're all available anywhere from $5 to $10. They're all very cheap. And, we're updating that every week.
Okay. Maybe after the show, I'll get a hold of you on Facebook and have you give me a call, because I'm going to the Scarefest thing. If you can give me a couple copies, I can see if I can sell some for you over there.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely talk.
I always want to help people out. I enjoy making people smile. Other than the postmortem, what are some of the other movies you've done?
A couple of the short films I've done. The very first one I did was called Graveyard Blues, and it was a very kind of a gothic Edgar Allan Poe meets H.P. Lovecraft kind of, it's basically about a person's insane desire to experience the unknown and kind of the consequences of the tagline that we made up for it was, "Does curiosity kill?" Without giving away any spoilers, because you never know, curiosity may kill or may not. That was my first one, and I did several others. Another one, but don't let the title throw you off. It's called Two Guys, One Box, and that was one that I kind of co-directed, co-wrote, and produced with a friend of mine, an actor and special effects man named Edward X. Young. He also was in Graveyard Blues and then Postmortem America. It was his directorial debut, and it was one of the collective shorts. And the theme of that collection of shorts was just a box. They gave us a little 2-inch by 2-inch cardboard box, and we had to base a film off this box. And, of course, the Two Guys, One Box is a play on a very infamous internet video of Two Girls, One Cup. It's just a play on words, but I assure you it's not as dirty as it sounds.
No.
Yeah, no, not it's dirty in its own. It's dirty in its own right, but it's not that kind of film. I did a couple of others. I did the most recent one I did was actually my acting debut. I decided it was for Collective Volume 6, and that one was supposed to be based off of the director's greatest fear. And I did a short for that one also called Security Violation was the title. And it's basically about fear of dying alone. And it's just basically about this character who just basically just gets kind of tortured and somewhat put through hell and back. And there's some consequences that had to be paid. And I thought to myself, well, if it's supposed to be about the director's greatest fear, I kind of had to put myself at the center of the mayhem. So I basically spent 8 out of the 10 minutes of the film being beaten to death. So, my actors were actually two friends of mine, Al Harland and Bella Demented. They both helped out and shot it. And I think they had a lot of fun, literally, like, beating me with a prop sledgehammer, punching me, beating me up, wrapping me up in plastic and, dumping my body and doing all sorts of mean things. Usually the director won't put themselves in that kind of in that situation. I was just like, out of hell with it. It's fun. I kind of like being in front of the camera a little bit too, so that was fun. I did 2 films for Silence in the Dead of Light. It's a production company run by a friend of mine, Nina Pry-Hotchko, and she did 2 shorts called Jog, and the other one was called Sex Zombie, and I editing, special effects, music, acting for those. But I'm actually getting ready to work the film that I'm trying to do this summer. It's called the Crocodile Chronicles, and it's kind of my first foray into kind of more of a paranormal type of film, whereas my other films were maybe a little bit more action-based. This one is kind of hallucinatory and somewhat paranormal, a little bit out there.
Very cool. So you touch on a little bit of everything there. In the I tell you, there's so much available on the paranormal side that you can go so many different ways.
Right, and it all depends. And I always say there's two types of paranormal people. And some people hate it when I say this, there's the Mulders and the Scullys. There's the people who believe, and there's people who don't believe. I always enter into everything as pretty much a skeptic. I'm kind of you got to show me. I have to see something and experience it. But I've had also on the paranormal side of things, seen a few things in my day that are just not explainable by plain old logic. There's some things in life that just are unexplainable, and that's kind of the basis of this new script. It's in short, it's about a group of people partying in a place that may or may not be haunted or may not be paranormal. It's just about it's a dark film. It's basically about a group of junkies that are so messed up and so whacked out of their mind they don't know if what they're seeing is real or not. It could be real things going down and that they're seeing and experiencing, or they might just be hallucinating. So to me, it plays with plays with their heads. And
very interesting idea.
Yeah, and it plays with the audience's minds because you really don't know. You're given a few clues the way that I've written the script that hopefully you won't know until the revelation at the end. Which I won't give away here, of course, because of course. But you won't know until the very end if what they're seeing is real or not. But it should throw people off a little bit, which is what I hope to do. Which again, crossbreeding those genres.
Yeah, that's excellent. That is very cool. I'm gonna have to, I have to do a little checking here and see if I can find some of these. Like you say, to find some bootlegs or something. I'd love to watch these. But we are we got about 6 minutes left. Now, if
time flies.
it really does. Well, I was too yappy there at the beginning. I think I spent like 12 minutes yapping, and we had a little bit of a technical problem, but we'll see how that works. So, where do you see your work going? I know your wife is working here. Well, not exactly here, but she's here. Is she in college here? Is that what it was?
Long story short, she went to college in Cincinnati at Xavier. She actually graduated this year. The ceremony's in a couple of months, and she's out here doing intern work. So we might be out here for the next year or so.
Intern,
yeah. So we doing intern work for a year, and I'm pretty much following her wherever she goes. My day job, I work as a cook, shift leader. I'm actually just signed on to become assistant manager. I work at a restaurant, so that kind of pays the bills for now as I'm still kind of getting my feet and trying to, always making bigger and better films. But I see this, the life of an independent filmmaker. It is difficult. I'm not complaining because if anything worth doing is one worth doing right, and it's going to be a little bit hard, but it's rewarding when it's done right. Like when Heather called in earlier, that just, like I said, it warms the old heart to know that I'm doing things right, and I'm doing things my way. It may take a little longer, but I just see myself growing and learning. I have a couple filmmaking friends, which I'd like to give a shout out if I could. Eric Schneider, Jason Hoover, Tom Berdinsky, especially those three for helping me, get postmortem done, help me grow as a filmmaker, because when you collaborate with good and like-minded people, it just helps you grow so much better. And they're three great guys, and, there's some other filmmakers out there now that are really good that I really admire. Dustin Mills, Brian Williams, a couple new guys have been in the scene a few years just like me that are great independent filmmakers. So anybody listening out there, I suggest you check out any of the half dozen guys there that I've mentioned. Check out their stuff. But, it's just I see myself just wanting to keep making films that are going to disturb people. And, the biggest sin that any filmmaker could commit is boring their audience. So as long as I can hopefully still disturb and excite people, I'll keep making them. If I start boring people, I'll think of another line of work.
Yeah, well, I think you're going to be doing very well, in what you're doing right now. Like I said, I got to see some of your stuff, but I'm sure it's going to be. you got Sharon on your side, so that's a big plus.
Yeah,
she knows her stuff.
She knows her stuff. She knows what she likes, and also she doesn't bullshit people. Sorry, I didn't know I'm to curse there.
No,
so
you're absolutely right.
But she's usually a hard person to impress. I've noticed with stuff. So if she likes my stuff, then I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I've been friends with her for a couple of years now, and I'll come up with something that I think is a pretty cool idea, and I'll put it past her, and it's like, Jim, maybe not. And I'll sit back and I'm thinking, well, why'd she? No, she's right. And yeah, she's got her head screwed on very well.
She's very well like my wife. I use my wife as my sounding board. I'll give her an idea and be like, this, because she'll shoot it to me straight. She'll tell me whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea. And 99 times out of 100, she's right. So, and the other one time out of 100, I still listen to her.
Yeah, two out of three of my ex-wives were that way. They were usually right, and I don't know what that tells you. Usually not anything real good.
I hope to never have to ever use the term ex-wife. It's a four-letter word if there ever was one.
And you're absolutely right. And I wish I never had to use it, but unfortunately, I have. I didn't think I'd ever use it the first time. Well, I sure didn't think I was going to ever have to use it a third time. And I swear to God, I'd never use it a third time. But I upset God because I let him down. But anyway, it happens. But
it's like that old phrase go: announcing your plans out loud is a good way to hear God laugh. And so you made him laugh a couple times. Stop making God laugh. That's the key.
I hope so. I hope I made him laugh. I know. Yeah. Anyway, so if anybody needs to get a hold of you, your website is www.pma2021.com.
Correct.
And there is a link there to contact you, and that's also where everybody can take a look at your at your films, and it's also movie reviews. I posted a couple times there in chat, but everybody else is just listening now.
I haven't been able to get the chat up today. The whole hour we've been on, I've been trying to get the chat running. My computer's so.
Don't worry about it. It either works or it doesn't. I mean, it's Blog Talk Radio.
Right.
And then if anybody else wants any more information on you, you can go to the IMDb website, www.imdb.com, and put in Cameron Scott, and you can get a lot of other information on his films and stuff there.
Right. And then besides the website, if they want to check out, I have of course, the obligatory Facebook pages for all my films, my production companies. So if they look up Quattro Venti Scott Productions or Postmortem America or just look up my name, Cameron Scott, they can usually find out what I'm doing, where I'm going to be, or what's, coming up that's new. And, special, I guess I got a couple of special editions of some movies coming up here pretty soon. So, anything that they need to know, I have the online presence where they can come and check it out.
That sounds like a winner. We do have another call here, and the question. Let me do some here, and while we darn, this is the pot calling the kettle. Well, not pot calling the kettle black, but this is Sharon Day. Sharon, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
I didn't know if you were calling in for your hat or if you wanted to call in and say something to Cameron.
You know what? I would love to say hi to Cameron, and I am so excited, and I'm proud of what you're doing.
Oh, thank you very much. And it's good to talk to you again. It's been quite a long time.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I think since the release of Zombie Housewives. Wow.
Yeah, it was the first one. That's been a little while. I think I've moved twice since then.
Yeah, well, I think I have a few more gray hairs since then, so yeah.
Oh gosh, God, Lord knows I do too. I think every film I make, a few hundred more pop up, but hey, it's still hair. It's still hair. I'd rather have the gray one.
As long as there's still hair, yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's still hair, that's I'll keep the gray ones. It's okay.
Yeah, true.
Very true. Okay, well, Cameron, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. And like I say, later tonight, I'll give you a shout. Maybe we can meet up somewhere, and I can try to help you out as much as I can with getting your movies out there.
Yeah, I mean,
see what we can do.
Let me know about those locations. That's would help me out. And
they're both in Illinois.
I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, sir. It was great having you. You have a great evening, and I will be talking to you later.
All right, you have a great evening, Jim. Sharon, you have a great evening,
Thank you.
too. Talk to you all later.
You too. Thanks.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Okay, Sharon, we're going to take a little bit of a break because even though my phone did shut off, I want to call back in and make sure I do have a whole hour without my phone shutting off. So I'm going to put us both on hold. We are going to be back. Paranormal Geeks Radio will be returning for a second hour, but we have a little bit of music to listen to, an oldie from Yes.
Mountains come out of the sky, they stand there. 24 before my love, I'll be there.
Are you an experienced ghost hunter or just ghost curious? In either case, on your next trip to beautiful Branson, Missouri, make sure you visit Ghosts of Branson. Hi, I'm Dr. Chuck Kennedy, owner of Ghosts of Branson, with over 40 years of experience as a paranormal investigator and an author of over a dozen books. I have personally scouted the best location in the Ozarks. Branson is the vacation capital of America. It is less than a one-day drive to one-third of the U.S. population, and at Ghosts of Branson, we have the ghost tour or investigation that is right for you. On all of our tours, each location is investigated and documented. You won't just hear stories and folklore. Using the night show technology, you will see the photographs and video and hear the EVPs that confirm each location is haunted. Are you a member of a group? Well, then check out our Ghost Hunters Getaway, a weekend to die for. 3 great days of ghost hunting events that you will never forget. So don't wait. Check out ghostsofbranson.com and book your tour or weekend now. Remember, don't let your vacation be normal. Make it paranormal with Ghosts of Branson.
Ghosts of Branson. If you're ever down that way, make sure you look this up. Look up this little event. Dr. Chuck Kennedy, a very dear friend of mine. He started his tours up in the Chicago area, up in the suburbs, very successful. Moved down to Branson. Who can blame him? From Chicago to Branson. I could be a lot better than Chicago. So mention my name and we'll give you an extra tour and tell you some more spooky stuff, the unknown spooky stuff. I don't know if he will or not. I just made that up. But anyway, if you ever get down there, make sure you put this on your list of things to do. Well, welcome back to Paranormal Geeks Radio. It is still April 8th, 2014. I just started a new job. Last week was training. This week is actual working. And I am dead tired. As soon as this show is over with, I'm going to start downloading the show, and I'm going to bed. I have tomorrow off, so I'm just going to enjoy a nice, which I think is a well-deserved day off. Although I've been unemployed since November, about days off, I guess I should be used to them. But anyway, second half of the show is starting right now, which our guest is the the matriarch of Paranormal Geeks, the Queen Geek, Miss Sharon Day. Sharon, welcome to your show.
Thank you. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I guess it is. Well, it's not really my show. It's just named after the book. It's your show.
Yeah, it's your and Julie's show. Mm-hmm. That'll work. It is for tonight. It is. It's been a while. It's been a while since you've been on. It's probably been maybe 2 months since you've been on, and a lot's happened. You've been doing a lot more research, and the one thing about reading your blog and your posts on Facebook is the interest that you have taken in the giants. I know that's been going on for quite a while, but also a lot of good Bigfoot stuff too. Which I guess the newest stuff's been some Bigfoot ideas that you have. There's a lot to this big hairy man than I think we've all thought, isn't there?
Well, I think we just have to open our minds up. And I say this often, but, we haven't, there's a lot of things in the para field, this paranormal geek field, all these subjects, these are things that haven't been proven yet. So if they haven't been proven, we don't know the rules of them. So I always tell people you need to look at things many different ways, and that's why I have ghost hunting theories. It's really just a site to knock all kinds of concepts out there and see how they're taken, and if anybody wants to take an idea and run with it. And I give people resources to go study and learn more. I mean, if you were interested in what I had to say, go for it. Go chase it.
Exactly. And, every once in a while you run into somebody that's it's their way or no way, and your idea is stupid as anything, and why'd you even write that? And
yeah, but I'm not doing it for other people. I'm doing it for me. This whole thing, ghost hunting theories, really began in 2008 with me just sitting down, and I was recouping from having surgery on my foot. I was unable to walk for months. I was just bored out of my mind, and my son said, start a blog and talk about ghosts. You do a lot of ghost hunting. Talk about ghost hunting. I said, I don't want to talk about that. Everybody's talking about ghost hunting. I want to talk about theories. And he was like, okay, do it. And I really went out there just to say, look, I have this concept. What if? And then I throw it out there. And it's really been sort of like my own internal process being said out loud. And people sort of caught on and went, wow, I never thought about that. And I want to get people excited,
Yeah, you think outside the box, and I would say talking about Bigfoot in particular. My guess would be probably 75% of people are looking at everything in the box with Bigfoot. This is how he must be. He has to be an ape. No, he's not an ape. Well, then how come all of his pictures are all blurry? I mean, you think outside the box, and you come up with some very cool, very neat ideas. Was it 2 weeks ago, maybe 3? You had you were writing about how he camouflages himself, or becomes invisible. Well, that might be a little bit. Well, he hasn't been known to do that. In the forest.
Okay, here's what happens.
A little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, Bigfoot, one of the things that drives me nuts about, I'm very deep in Bigfoot research, and the people I work with are some of the best minds that there are out there in all different specialties, and we're a think tank, and we also work in the field, so we have habituation sites we can learn things from. But one of the things that would drive me nuts is so many people, when they can't figure out why they can't get good pictures of Bigfoot, or why they think they're so hidden that they must have special powers. That has to be it. And that's sort of a trait that's been among humans for all time. If we might make a legend about something like a hill. There's a hill in the field, and we tell some legend that some giant had built his bunker there or something. Well, there is a real hill there, but we don't know why. And when we don't know why something, we put in a legend. And Bigfoot's become a big legend. And I've seen a Bigfoot. I know they exist. I have no doubt about it. But it's difficult when you're talking about something that a lot of people haven't witnessed, and all that can go on is what people tell them about it. And those are legends.
Right.
Some of the legends are they're interdimensional. Other legends are they're alien. Some say they have a cloaking device of some sort. And they have magical tools from the gods, But I'm a Virgo, and so I go, no, it has to be from this world. I've seen one. It was a real person. I saw them walk. I saw them, the sun lighting their hair. I saw their posture. I saw their physique. I saw their muscles. This is a real person really walking in the woods, doesn't know I'm seeing them. And so I have to work with real world. So I sat down, and somebody had given me some microscopic pictures of hairs that were not compatible with anything in any archive we could find. And these hairs had some unusual properties. And one of the properties that the hairs had was they were very transparent, but they had a little bit of a stain of color to them. So they were really adaptable. You put something like that up against leaves and light and dark and forest, and it adapts quite well to wherever it is. And so what we end up with is this is why we have blob squatch pictures, why they don't photograph well. They have fuzzy edges. They're very adaptable to the light and the dark. They absorb it. So they really become one with the forest. And this is a very real-world explanation for something. And then I took it a little bit further because I found a quality in the hairs that shouldn't be in hair. It isn't in our body hair. We have hairs on our body that are inside of our ears and our nose, and those have nerve cells in them. These hairs had nerve cells. They had concentric rings in them. And what that tells me is that these are used to send messages immediately to the brain. They're sensors. So if your entire body is covered in sensors, imagine the knowledge you have. Now it's not psychic Bigfoot anymore. It's this guy has a weather station on his body, and he's picking up sound vibrations. If you even walk through the woods, those signals will get to his hairs. And he, this is a sense of his. We have sense of smell. He can sense with his body. And he's like, okay, somebody's coming. And so they have a great system to prepare them for anything and to adapt them for temperature. So, this is all conjecture on my part, but when you're looking at it, it gives you very real-world explanation for what seems very mystical.
Well, it does. It's like the same. The hairs act as the same as a cat's whiskers. They're sensing. They're part of their senses.
Exactly. If we had that ability to get all that information and our brain assimilated, and we were born with that assimilation, it would be amazing. The things we would know. Yeah, we'd know the weather. We would know changes in the weather. We would know who's coming and going. We might even be able to pick up something like the energy off of living beings and plants even. So if somebody had a good or bad energy about them, I know that sounds very new age, but some people may put off a body energy that's not good, that just doesn't feel right, and they would just sense that and say, oh, I'm staying back. But there are a few humans that they do seem to pick out and don't mind being seen by, and this could be purely an energy thing.
It could, because they have the right aura, they have the right energy, and it's absolutely right. Well, you stop and think of it. I'm sorry?
It would seem psychic to anyone else that they have foreknowledge somehow. Well, if you have an extra sense, you have foreknowledge. If the whole population is blind and one person can see, they have foreknowledge. So,
Mm-hmm. See, and that's what I like about this. The way you put things. You look at them in a totally different way, and your way makes sense if you have an open mind. And you have to have an open mind, and anything with the word paranormal in it, you have to have an open mind. And like Cameron said, He's a skeptic. Well, I honestly think that any good paranormal investigator has to be 90% skeptic, or he's going to be, or that person's going to be the one that's sticking death store pictures up on the internet and calling it Uncle Lou.
Yeah, there's different levels at which you investigate. If you stop at orbs, you have missed paranormal activity. What a shame. It's like you stopped at the doorway and didn't go into the party. So if you can get rid of some of the things that have explanations, and you get to something that truly, genuinely is puzzling, that's when it gets really exciting. We don't limit our world by saying, nope, that we can prove that was, the sound of the guy next door, or we can prove that was the pipes rattling. That doesn't mean that we've just gotten rid of the mystery. It just means that when we get to the real mystery, that's when it gets exciting. We want to get to the real meat of it. We want to get to the good stuff.
Exactly. You're exactly right. That's a great way to put that. Now, is there any other than the cloaking with Bigfoot? Are there any other interesting news with the big hairy one? Well, that didn't sound good. with Bigfoot?
I guess it depends. There's a lot of people in the field right now that are saying that they see some different behavior in Sasquatch that they haven't seen before. And I think it has more to do with population and exposure than anything else. I think what we're seeing is not that there's more of them or that they're more aggressive, but that they simply have thinned out their clans to spread them out over more land. I mean, you can't have a big family in the woods anymore. They're, like Uncle Tom and Cousin Sue are going to have to, head to Arkansas. So I think they're just spreading out a little bit more, and we're just seeing them more just because of population. And also they're kind of, I don't want to compare them with bears because they're humans. This is a human tribe, but they do have the same thing that we would have as humans if you lived in the wild. You find a food and you go to it. And so bears get used to parks being a place to feed. Well, Bigfoot finds out dumpsters and, rest stops are great places to find stuff. So we are running into them more because they know where the regular food is.
Yeah, and I know, or you know that I know that the Bigfoot is not an ape. What? And I've seen you in threads, and I also remember seeing it once or twice here, even in the chat sometimes, where someone calls it an ape, and you're right in there. It's not an ape. Okay, settle down, Sharon Sasquatch.
I know. I was completely a ghost person. I was not into UFOs. I was only into ghosts. I wasn't into Bigfoot. But when I saw Bigfoot, I went, oh, they told me everything wrong. This is a human. This is not an ape. This is not some big hairy ape running around the woods. What are we thinking? And that made me really want to go into research because it was quite obvious. I was watching somebody in my own family. He had hair on his body, but, so did my ex. And I managed to be married to him for 26 years. So, we had to get past that. Yeah. But there's a lot of, really prominent researchers that were hasty in saying that it was a great ape and that we're looking for a North American ape. And I think that's going to choke them up in the end. It's going to be hard for them to recover from that, from years of spouting that line.
Okay, what's your argument? What's your proof? What's your proof that it's not an ape?
Besides the fact that it purely walks on 2 feet, and it's brilliant in keeping itself hidden, they also have language, and you don't find language in any other apes. It just doesn't happen. What my belief is in studying them, and I've been trying to come to conclusions about what their origins are, and I really do think they have a larger cranial capacity than us. They're smarter than us. Now, we look at our technology and think, well, we're really brilliant. We've got all these gadgets. Well, actually, we're kind of weak because we have to design gadgets to do our stuff for us. So we're really not that bright, and I think they probably look at us and think that. Like, why are they driving? They can walk. Why do they need to go to all this trouble? expend all this energy to make something to walk them across town. So, their focus is completely different than ours, what their priorities are. So I think they've developed a mind that's incredibly brilliant as far as being commandos. And they certainly have a network of being able to know what we're doing and when we're doing it. They're amazing mimickers. They can mimic not only all the animals, but on sites where people live, and they live on the same property. This is what we call habituation. They'll actually listen to the people that own the land. Like if you go out the back door and yell, "Billy, it's dinner time," pretty soon you're going to start hearing somebody in the woods yelling "Billy" with your voice. So they're very good at speaking. But they have their own language as well, and some of it's borrowed, and some of it is completely foreign to us. And it also depends on the region, because it seems to be a different language in different places.
Now, just like humans, there are different, because someone that was born and raised in West Virginia, up in the hills, is not the same as someone who was born and raised, say, in Beverly Hills. There are, like you just said, there are different, and there are different species of Bigfoot, correct?
Well, I would call them different races, maybe, within their own kind.
Different races.
I mean, they're all Sasquatch, but they're different types. Ron Moorhead did an amazing study in the early 70s, just camping out in the Sierras. He recorded Bigfoot talking and screaming, and it's amazing sounds. They're very different than what we find in, say, East Texas, and that's even different than what we might hear in Kentucky. So they all are a little bit different, but the ones in California in the Sierras that he had recorded sounded very primitive compared to what we hear, which sounds like people. Some of the vocal qualities are a little different. A lot of people are back and forth about whether or not Bigfoot can create infrasound, which is a level of sound that's so low that our ears can't hear it, but our bodies react to it. And about the closest thing we get is that if somebody drives by in a car and they have really strong bass and it just, your whole chest rumbles, you get this kind of bad feeling from it. Well, imagine if it can go even lower. If it goes even lower, your whole body reacts and you just don't feel good at all. And the reactions in people really vary. But and people say, well, it can't possibly do infrasound. Only elephants do. Well, alligators do too. And there's certain deer and stuff that do as well. So it doesn't matter. What it matters is the length of the vocal cords. And there's actually a human who can do infrasound. And when they scoped him, they found out he just had exceptionally long vocal cords. And imagine if you were 7 or 8 feet tall, how long your vocal cords are.
Oh, man. Exactly.
Exactly. So something we may not be aware of when we're in the woods, that maybe one of their preventative ways of keeping us from bothering them is to make us just uncomfortable, so we just want to leave, or maybe we want to go take the path on the right instead of, continuing where we're going. And it would be a subtle bump, but it would certainly affect us.
We were talking about vocalizations and stuff. I do have some still here on our on the audio board, and I'm just going to play one of them, and then when it's over with, maybe you can explain a little bit. My only description I put down of it, it says most bizarre Bigfoot. I'm sure this isn't the most bizarre Bigfoot. I'm sure it's probably a very cool vocalization. So we're going to play that right now. I'm going to play that right now. It's like weird, like I have a big-ass production company behind here. I'm going to play that now and let you talk about it here when it's done. It's only 2 minutes and 11 seconds long. But those of you that haven't heard these, freaking amazing. So here we go. Here we go. Maybe that's what's so bizarre about it. You can't hear it.
There's a guy called Ron Moorhead who, for several years, had a cabin way up in the remotest parts of the Sierras of Northern California. And he was there one time with a friend, and every evening they used to hear some absolutely bizarre noises and calls, and they couldn't figure out what the hell it was. And so they took up a tape recorder one time, and this is what they recorded. bizarre indeed. We decided to record the sounds and put them on a CD and a cassette and make them available to people. We do believe these creatures are trying to communicate with us, though, and we, as we speak, are having the linguistics people look into it. They are very encouraged. What they're saying so far is that humans cannot mimic these sounds, that the range supersedes what a human can do. The tapes were shown by a previous study at the University of Wyoming to be spontaneous and no signs of being re-recorded or pre-recorded at altered speeds. So the idea of a hoax is very improbable as far as professionals are concerned at this time.
Okay, that's good enough. Now, you're talking a little bit there from the you're talking a little bit earlier about them mimicking, and a lot of these sounded almost like a cat, like a mountain lion or something. It's like, it sounds like a lion growl.
Yeah, actually, the book Voices in the Wild by Ron Moorhead, it has the audio of that on it. It has a disc that comes with the book, and it's definitely worth getting. It's quite amazing. We've talked with Ron before about the vocalizations and what they found. And one thing that we found in our research group is sometimes we get these things that they'll either be sort of it sounds like they're expending energy and just sort of making sounds, but they actually work with their vocal cords constantly, sometimes imitating other animals. They're very good at mimicry. We have a sound expert who's able to actually discern which things are in the audio range of the animal and which are not, so that we know which one. And you can kind of tell there's just something a little different about it, because no matter what they do, they have a powerful chest and they resonate a lot. They've got a big skull, probably a high arch palate, and all of that comes into play in the acoustics of the voice. But we've also found, and I know working with MK Davis, he's slowed down the voices, and when you do that, you actually get them at a speed where you can hear the language. And I always, tell researchers, please, whatever audio you get, really listen to it, because they know not to get near microphones. They will go way far away and talk. And all you can hear is a faint sound of something that might be happening in the woods. And when you amplify that a lot, you get something that sounds really weird. But then if you slow it down, you actually hear the words and the language that's going on. And to them, this seems to be a perfectly normal way to communicate. And chances are they do that simply so no one knows there's language going on. But what a mind it must take to be able to take that kind of a speed of language and assimilate it. Of course, if you've ever listened to Spanish and you speak English, you probably wonder how they understand each other, too. So if you're born that way and raised in it, it's very normal. Yeah, or a passionate Italian family, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Does Bigfoot speak with his hands? Anyway, never mind.
Like you.
I don't know. I didn't mean to insult any Italians out there in the audience.
I tell people that generally, what you need to do when you go out in the woods is you need to start really looking at things, because everything in the woods is contrived. They leave signs everywhere, and some of them are really blatant, and we walk right past them, and we don't even think about it. And one of their favorite things to do is to leave these twig symbols, and they'll take twigs and they will line them up in these very odd shapes. And it really resembles what used to be an ancient language used by the mound builder giants up in the Ohio Valley. It's very much like the Grave Creek tablet symbols, and some of it looks like Ogham, which is actually a Celtic language from Middle Ages or before the Middle Ages. And so it's kind of odd where their influences come from, but they do tend to leave these things, and they leave gifts. They leave you bones. Sometimes the bones are lined up. They're a little OCD about things. I'm not sure why. This is something I'm concentrating on. But when they leave you bones, they will stack them in a certain way or line them up in a certain line. And so I encourage people, if you see these things, move them around a little bit and leave them and come back some other day and look and see. And you can actually get this interaction going back and forth. They have no issue with leaving little things behind. And it's almost like they're testing to see which of us are smart enough to slow down in the woods and notice stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to play one more vocalization. It's only 36 seconds long. This is the mirror cam growl, which is very cool. A camera set pointing into a mirror. Well, we'll explain to it after we're done. We'll explain it. Yeah, this is the mirror cam growl. It's only 36 seconds long. Okay. Now, what this one was, there's an idea that Sasquatch can see like the infrared light, and they shy away from cameras. That's why you say, well, how come you never get a good picture of Sasquatch? Well, I think they're actually smarter than we think, and they're actually a hell of a lot smarter than what we are. But what they did with this camera was face it into a mirror, so the camera wasn't facing Bigfoot. And I don't remember, did they get any action in the mirror at all?
Oh yes, yeah. There's quite a bit of film. M.K. Davis's channel on YouTube has a lot of these videos. In fact, you'll probably recall a really infamous one. There was one where they put what are those door mirrors? You know those long mirrors you put on the back of a door, and they hung it on a tree, and they had the camera facing it. And what their thought was, well, Bigfoot won't come in front of the camera; he'll hide behind it. But if he's hiding behind it, he'll be reflected in the mirror, and we'll see him. So, great idea. I love when researchers think outside the box like that. What happened in one of them was there was a shed and a big field of corn, and there was a black Bigfoot and a white Bigfoot, and they were having sort of a shoving match back and forth, pushing each other back and forth and fighting. And then this unbelievably tall Bigfoot comes out, about 14 feet tall, by best guess. It was huge. It dwarfed them. He was a tall, skinny one. He came out. He was sort of limping, like, I don't know, there was something wrong with one of his legs. But he came out, and the two of those ran. I mean, the black and white Bigfoot, they just took off. It was like he was the ruler. That was all caught in the mirror. And then that once again, is a garden video that you'll find on M.K. Davis's YouTube channel. Now, if you're interested in the language, if you go to Ghost Hunting Theories, on the right-hand side of the blog are all the most favorite posts. And there's one called Sasquatch Language, and that'll have an entire video compilation of audio, and it'll tell you my transcription of the language, and then I explain some of the things about the physiology and the language. So if you're curious about language, that's a good place to go.
Yeah, because there's some of the words that you're able to pick out of that were actually sounded real Native American. I cannot remember the tribe right off the top of my head. Yeah, well, one of the tribe members or clan members was Neshoba, and you can hear them talking about Neshoba and Holote and Ondon. So there's some different names that are being bantered about within the language. What's really interesting is this is not, I mean, if you were going to do a gibberish language and fake an audio of a Bigfoot, you wouldn't have the same sounds every time you make a vowel or a consonant, and you wouldn't limit the amount of consonants you can use. But you can tell there's something different structurally about their mouth where they have a little trouble with certain letters, and they don't come out the same. Like they try to say caliente, but they can't say the L. So that you can tell a little bit about their physiology from that. Plus, they also repeat words or phrases at different times, completely years apart, different sites. So there's definitely consistent language for them. and also there's you can actually tell different people, not different people, but different Bigfoot. They have, well, more or less, okay. Yeah. They have their own voice, which you can pick out after a while, after you've been listening to them for as long as you have. I mean, you go, well, here's a new one. Oh, that sounds like Joe or whatever.
I used to not know what their names were, so I was sort of like, I gave them names. One was Lou Rawls, and, so, and the old guy. I had one I called the old guy. But, yeah, you get to know them after a while. Now and then we run into some things about Bigfoot, and I understand why people think they must be a little bit, there must be something else going on that's unnatural or not of this world, because M.K. Davis did release recently a strange audio that we never really could make a good theory on. And what it was, he was listening to the audio on one of the I guess it was one of the videos that was playing in the dark, and he heard what sounded like some kind of bees buzzing or something. So he amplified the sound a lot, and then he heard what sounded just like the chipmunks on the cartoons, and he thought, okay, that's just really weird. You could hear the dogs barking, you could hear birds, but you could hear chipmunks. And he's like, okay, well, let's try, slowing it down like we do. And he slowed it down, and it was two of them speaking, and I recognized their voices. I've heard them before. And they were talking. One of them was imitating the dogs and mocking them. He was like going, woof, woof, like he was just, playing with them. Yeah. The other one sounded like he was mad at him, like, cut it out, quit it. And you could hear that, but when he slowed it down, you could hear the dogs barking really slowly, and you could hear the birds really slowly, but they're speaking normal speed. So now I'm telling people, look, if you get anything on audio that sounds like little chattering or like, some creature from Star Wars or something, slow it down and amplify the sound, make it louder and slow it down. And, slow it by 50% and amplify the sound as much as you can take. And you're going to find things you didn't know you had on video or audio.
Well, that actually goes along with paranormal, with ghost hunting. When you do audio, you got to play around with it. We do have a question. We do have a call. Area code 331, which I believe is up around Chicago somewhere. Area code 331. Welcome to Paranormal Geeks. Okay, Jen. Welcome to Paranormal Geeks Radio. Who do we have here tonight?
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
How the heck are you?
That's a Chicago area transplanted to Branson.
Hey, you listen to the scenic route.
I'm being a ghost guy. I'm fascinated with the whole Bigfoot thing, but I just don't have time to really dig into it. And these voices are fascinating. But here's my question, Sharon. So often in science, if we can't investigate the object itself, we look at the byproduct. Has anybody ever done DNA or any analysis of the byproducts of Bigfoot? They've got to poop, they got to pee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
actually,
has it ever?
There was a huge collection by a lot of researchers that was sent to a veterinarian who was a DNA specialist, Melba Ketchum, and she did the analysis with several different labs that looked it over, and she brought out her findings, but she didn't do them by peer review, and she brought them out herself, and that was kind of a shame because she had all this great evidence, and it simply can't be taken seriously because, peer review is critical in that field. And there are others who are working on it. I know Brian Sykes, he's an expert on ancient blood types and DNA in England, and he's done some studies too, and a lot of the samples that he's gotten were completely explainable animals in the woods. But he might have found a beaver or he might have found a, wildcat or whatever. And people say, well, then that's proof there's not Bigfoot. Well, we know there's humans in the woods, and he didn't come across our DNA. So, I think it's going to take some real diligence and really smart people in the field, because if you're going to get DNA, you need to think like a crime lab. You have to, no hands-on. You have to be using the right, sterile techniques. And you have to feel really confident about what you have. Now, the research group I'm in, we get hair all the time, and the question is, we have to have somebody analyze that microscopically to even see if it's worth having it tested. Because a lot of it's like, And I'm spending my time. Yeah, a lot of my time right now in research. I mean, I'm in a lot of different areas of research on Sasquatch, but one of the things I want to do is to try to explain its origins. Where did it come from? Because if you show a lineage, you can show that there's a descendant. And so that's
absolutely,
kind of reverse engineering Bigfoot, I guess you'd say.
Absolutely, yeah. Makes sense. Thanks so much for your time.
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks for calling, Chuck. I'll talk to you later.
All right, Jim. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, oh, you know it. No, because there have been all sorts of things from hair to tissue to actual Bigfoot steaks, allegedly. You know, the cuttings from a deceased Bigfoot. You know, even the toenails.
Yes, the toenail actually
that have been submitted.
Yeah,
and the toenail was found there in Arizona, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. And, you know, I think what's interesting, I mean, I know we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I think it's a shame that the way that the DNA, you know, results were handled, and I worry about the motives of some people that handled it. But if what she said was true, that it showed that it had a maternal human, one of us, a Homo sapien, it had the maternal side was Homo sapien, and the paternal side was something that we don't know. That intrigues me a lot right now because part of my research is ancient giants. And there's a tribe down in the tip of Argentina that was a tribe called the Yagan. And the Yagan had very unusual features. They were tall. They had the sloped skull, some of the features that you hear about ancient giants, and you even hear about Bigfoot as well. And when they looked at their DNA, they found that they were not halotype A and B as other natives of all of the Americas are. So they had some parentage that we don't know about. And so that intrigues me because, you know, they're working on the DNA of a Peruvian skull is about to release that. And if these red-haired skulls with the elongated, you know, skulls, if they prove to have this sort of strange trait too, we might be talking about a theory that I have basically that these giants, and if you look at the legends, they always say the giants came by boat. They took over the land, and they had no women with them. It was just the men, and they tried to settle in and live there, and they also tried to eat the people, and they tried to rape the women. Well, if there's anything to any of these legends that are all over the world, we may be talking about some hybridization, and that might be what created these slope-headed native people that we found that are very tall, like the Karankawa Indians of Texas coast and such. So a lot of different concepts out there, but her DNA study could have supported, you know, giants as well, which, you know, and I'm trying to tie whether or not giants and Bigfoot are related. But we have bones of giant people that lived here, and we have giant people that live here. Kind of a no-brainer, you know, same head shape.
Exactly.
And everything. So,
well,
yeah.
So the part of the DNA was female, was human female. The other part was unknown. Was the mitochondrial DNA was unknown, or do I have that backwards?
The mitochondrial is the maternal, that's the female, and then her
okay,
that is human. But the paternal, that was the questionable. The nuclear DNA was she said they couldn't identify where it came from. And if it did come from giants, that would be unidentifiable because I don't believe that we have any, or at least that we've confessed to any DNA from giants. And, you know, these giant finds just keep going missing constantly. And, you know, that's where I hope that if we ignite enough passion that there's probably more giant skeletons out there than there have been found. So if we come across this day and time in a world where you can't hide secrets, where people have cameras on their cell phones who can take measurements and hold things up and show how big it is, you know, you can't get away with hiding this stuff anymore. You can't squirrel it away to the Smithsonian basement anymore. It's a different world. So I would like to see
it is.
Yeah, eventually we'll dig some more up somewhere. Somebody will be in their backyard digging a well and, you know, find something.
Oh yeah, because the majority of them were found back in the early 1800s, and even into the later 1800s. And now you found a correlation even between the giant locations where they found them buried and Bigfoot sightings, which they almost kind of coincide.
Yeah, you hold up a map of Bigfoot sightings in America, and you hold up a map of where they found the skeletons of giants, and they line up perfectly. And the populations really haven't left those areas. And one thing we know about ancient giants is there's a pattern. They loved copper, and they mined copper, and I have my own theory that they really were night vision type people. They preferred anything that would take them underground. And it just seems to be a running theme through all of them. And plus their skulls show some attributes that make me wonder about their optics. So, and the Cherokee even said they drove out the moon-eyed people who only came out at night and didn't like light. So they might have been miners by trade, but they always are found on waterways and lakes. And they adorn themselves with shells, and they traded up and down the Mississippi for Gulf Coast shells and other items. And the Indians down there had copper that they traded from the north. So there was open trading constantly. And the question is, some of these taller tribes in Florida and Texas, were they the, product of trying to breed another, giant, tribe that's stronger? Maybe they did something good and they got paid and, hey, we'll make your people taller. Or there just simply was mating between them, matching them up. I don't know. But it is kind of strange. They're an aberration.
And in the whole grand scheme of things, too, this hasn't been that long ago that the giants would have been walking the earth.
I'm going to be proposing a theory that they might still be walking the earth in parts of the West and possibly in Kentucky and along the Appalachians. But there's some reasons to think that they've gone underground. They're simply subterranean at this point.
Now these giants that you're talking about, maybe 15, 18 feet tall?
They averaged around 8 to 10.
8 to 10, okay. Well, that's even hard to hide someone that's 10 feet tall, even in the woods.
But, here's the thing. We know Bigfoot come out at night. They do all their work at night. And I've talked about that on my blog about qualities of their eyes that would make them that way. And so, if you're a night person and you see just fine at night, you would sleep in the day. And you would love caves and you would love dark places. You'd have no problem being in them. So, and it works great for them because look at us. We don't really come out at night. So they get everything done. It's like those of us who work from home, we do all our chores during the week because we know on the weekend everyone else is doing their chores. So, that's the way they think.
And, there used to be years ago, it's still a theory now, about huge underground cave systems from the Pacific Northwest to the Midwest here, and they run the caves and almost migrate through these cave systems.
Yes.
And I don't know. I mean, but there are millions and millions and millions of miles of caves.
Yeah, there's so much that we haven't explored, and they also, there's absolutely no reason to think, when you listen to the stories of the Death Valley giants that were found, they described how they knew how to pivot a rock so that you can make a door that turns, sort of like if anybody's ever seen Coral Castle in Florida, that mystical place, that little tiny guy built this huge stone thing all by himself. Yeah, and he knew how to use some very ancient techniques of balance to turn a door, and this is something they had described, and it would be really easy in the wild with rock and with limbs and branches to completely secrete the opening of a cave. We would never even know.
Now, going back to proving that there's the Bigfooter is real. I threw one thing at you a little bit ago about Bigfoot being real, but how come? One of the big things is because me starting this new job, people find out what I do and what I'm interested in, and it opens up. It's like, it's like fresh meat. We got something new to talk about. So I get bombarded with questions, and when it comes to Bigfoot, of course, one of them was, and it always comes up. Well, then how come you never find bones of Bigfoot? And I go into my spiel about, well, you know, my idea is that they are more human than we think. I already said that once. I said, I think they bury them. You know, they get all cocky when they're asking this question. Then you throw that at them, and it's like, you can hear crickets. People don't.
I know. It's absurd to even put them in the human family. I know, and it's crazy because this is a thought pattern of, you know, the 1400s when they came to America and met people that were barely clothed. You know, this is crazy that we think this way in the 2000s. What the heck? There's, you know, I don't, you know, I don't compare a stock trader with a hippie and think they're two different breeds of human. They're different ways of being human. So, yeah, when it comes to Bigfoot, I mean, imagine if you were in the woods, you were born and raised there, generations, always taught from birth how to handle yourself, and you have perhaps a little bit of forethought in, if you do have sensory hair, if you knew someone was coming in the woods, do you think you could hide? Do you think you could stay away from that person if you always knew where they were in the woods? Pretty easy, huh? In the woods. Okay, I know he's over there near the rocks. I think I know where to go. You're always aware of where he is, so you just be somewhere else. So, I mean, it's not that hard if you think about being somebody who has to live that way. That's the you know, the goal of their life is to remain hidden, and it's vital to them that they continue that way of life. And I think they know it's the end of their people if they're ever found. They know it's like any other tribe. They know they'll be assimilated. They know they'll die of disease. They've seen their own people do that. So they have reasons to want to avoid us. And they probably have demonized us, you know, and they see our weird, you know, tools and people on ATCs in the woods and people with guns, and they probably think, you know, wow, these demons are, you know, they're multiplying and they're getting closer. And so, you know, you always have to think about it in terms of somebody who's incredibly anxious. I mean, it's like they're agoraphobic, and you're asking them to leave their house. They're not going to do it.
Exactly.
So, so you have to treat them. And I tell people that have habituation sites that want to have an interaction, you always have to be dependable. The same people have to be there on that property. They have to do the same thing at the same time of the day all the time, so they always know, okay, I can be in the left pasture because they're never there this time of day. And when they know you're reliable, then they start to trust, and they move in a little closer. So you really have to have predictable patterns. They're really anxious that way, and I don't blame them.
I want to let you know we actually run out of time a couple minutes ago, and now right now we're recording. So when this gets downloaded onto YouTube, everybody will be able to hear the rest of what we're talking about. So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, can we go on for a little bit longer? Not a whole lot longer, because I'm tired as a mofo. But maybe just finish up some things.
Okay.
You there? I might be losing you. But
okay,
can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay, Sharon?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. I can hear you perfect.
Okay.
Now we've been talking a little bit about the giants and their relationship to the giants, or the possible relationship of the giants. And now it's my understanding, well, that and it comes from the Bible, of course, that the giants probably came from the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, they're aliens. What's your idea of where the giants actually came from?
Yeah, isn't that exciting? Well, you know, there's a lot of people. In fact, today I had a revelation about that, because a lot of people talk about the Nephilim from the Bible, that the angels lusted for the women on earth, came down and mated with earthly women and created this giant race. And I think that is another one of the wonderful legends to explain something that really happened. And I think what really happened was we had a race of these giants that were out exploring, and they were mating with the local native women wherever they ended up. So, that would be an abomination and all that. And it would, the Bible could explain it that way. And it's a repeated story over and over in different lands, all describing the same thing. You know, they ate their men and they, you know, rape their women and cannibalistic and, just nasty. As far as where they come from, a lot of them are described to have red hair or blonde hair, which seems very off. They're also described in legends as having fair eyes. These are all qualities that we would have found if we're going to look at real-world explanations. One ancestor that they could have had was the Neanderthal, who had the precisely same skull, sloped skull, pronounced brow ridge, the mental foramens in the front of the face, the little holes that the nerves go through. They were in front of the first molar, just like all these what they call the Ottomid Indians, and these are the strange Indians that were tall. They had the same skull type, and had an extra bone in the back of the head that made it sort of pointed in the back. And it's interesting because people get confused with elongated skulls that were cranial deformation, where people actually wrapped the child's head and, forced it.
Yeah, they did that on purpose for some reason.
Well, what I think happened is they had this influence of these giants who had technology they didn't have that was way ahead of them, and they were big and powerful. And if you wanted to emulate somebody that's totally cool, like, say, Madonna, you're going to start wearing a bra all the time out in public. So, that's just what we do. We imitate whoever we respect or think is awesome. And I think in this case they were trying to look like the giants. And that's really telling, because when you find people going out of their way to wrap their babies' heads to look like giants, they had giants living there.
Well, exactly, and that goes back again to, like I was talking about with the Bigfoot, the people who do not have an open mind. You talk to them about these elongated skulls, and they say, well, the parents did that. They wrapped their heads with boards, and okay, granted they did, but why did they do that? And you tell them they were emulating their gods. Well, where did they get this idea from? Well, their gods look that way.
Well, a lot of people
that's another thing.
Alien Greys, Alien Greys have that crazy head, right? So obviously they're trying to look like Alien Greys. No, I don't think so. When you look at, if you go on Ghost Hunting Theories, on the right-hand side, there's the best, most favorite posts, and there's a lot of ones of giants, and there's tons of pictures of the skulls. You look at these elongated skulls and the sloped forehead and the pronounced brow ridge and the really strong jaw. The jaw was actually made to be a carnivore, just a meat eater. And it explains also maybe some of their cannibalistic tendencies, because that would make them a predator, and that would be their instinct to have meat only, So, but if you look at Bigfoot, they have a very similarly shaped skull. They've got that strange, crazy back of the head that points. They've got the sloped forehead, strong brow, strong jaw.
Very heavy brow,
all adds up. Yeah, it's just, come on, Occam's razor, the easiest, most obvious conclusion.
Now, with the heavy brow like that, is that also a sign of night? Is that one of the signs of night people, or the people that are the race that's out at night?
It could be. It could be simply, protective adaptation. And I think one of the things that I'm going to be presenting on Ghost Hunting Theories soon is another researcher has been doing research about the eyes, and he has a concept that I think is a really good one. And that'll be coming out soon, and it'll be kind of exciting. It'll sort of expand on the eyes. But when you look at their skulls, they do have a very strange, the eyes, the way that they're set and the way that the optic nerve would go through is just wrong for somebody who has a regular vision like we do. And they have really, when you hear this about Bigfoot a lot, they look like they're scowling. They're not scowling. They're protecting their eyes from daylight. And so they have unbelievable muscles all around the eye that pull that in and protect your eye. So they're kind of like that old guy who's not wearing his glasses and he just, squints all the time. They look angry, right? So people go, oh, the Bigfoot was angry. He was scowling at me. No, he was in the daylight. So it was
like all the old timers.
And
like all the old timers there in Arizona.
Exactly, or me, really. So another thing about their skull that was really different was that the hole where the nose goes, and you can see this on my blog on Ghost Hunting Theories. On the right-hand side, there's a link to the slope-headed ones. And when you look at it, you see a human skull next to one of these sloped skulls. And the hole for the nose is up between the eyes, and on us it's down further.
Instead of down. Yeah.
So the bridge of their nose was actually up where the eyebrows are. So they have these noses that look like beaks. And if you look at ancient art of these elongated people's skulls, they always show this weird beaked nose, and that's what they're showing. That's how the ancients looked.
Man. Yeah, there's so much more. It seems like daily something else comes out. And you know, and again, the naysayers, they'll get all negative on you. And then you say, well, did you see yesterday in the newspaper where they found a new monkey over on the island of Java? Oh, yeah, I did. That's okay. They're finding new things every day.
Oh, you know,
Max Planck
Institute. Yeah, Max Planck Institute just announced that they had found great apes, huge apes in the Congo that actually eat jaguars, such. And, you know, people around there have been saying, no, they live there. And they're like, yeah, right. And so when you hear locals saying they're seeing something, really take it to heart. I mean, I had an aunt in West Virginia that used to leave food out on a tree stump near the woods, and she said it was for the white bear man. And she said, you know, he looked like a bear, but he walked like a man. And that's coming from nowhere. You know, she's seen something.
Yep. Well, how long ago was it when the silverback gorilla? Well, that was 50, 60 years ago was when it was finally discovered?
I think that was like the 1960s, yeah.
Yeah, 60s, yeah, I guess it probably was. So, anyway, it's just people, you got to have an open mind. You can't walk around all your life in the status quo. I mean, there's other things out there.
If you keep thinking of them as apes, you will wonder why they're not found. If you think of them as humans that have been assimilated into the woods for generations and generations, thousands of years, totally have the skill set and perhaps even the mind, certainly the mind, to be hidden, it would not be no sweat for them.
And they know all the good hiding places.
Mhm. Yeah, they have what I call the panic rooms. They know where we don't go.
Yeah.
And I always tell people that live on a property that leave a place on your property that no one ever goes to. Because if they get uncomfortable or anxious, they need a place to go that they know you humans never use. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, we are we're almost 10 minutes over, and I'm not too sure when Blog Talk shuts us off. But it is actually still recording, so the end of this show will be on the YouTube when I get that downloaded, and that should be down by noon tomorrow. I'm getting better at this. So, yeah, it's about damn time. So, anyway, Sharon, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on tonight. Thank you, you and Julie, for writing the book. Thank you, both you guys, for letting me do this show. I enjoy the hell out of it.
Yay!
Yeah.
We like to sit back and listen. We're like, yay.
You know, I've only listened to one show that I've done, and that was the show that I realized, man, I got to go to school and learn how to do this shit the right way. But anyway, I got to get rid of my ands, and anyway, next week on the show, that'll be on the 15th, we have Keith Ramsey from Deep South Paranormal, the TV show I think was on A&E that just got canceled, and his wife, Tracy Ray. They just got married not so long ago. She's a psychic and stuff. So Keith Ramsey and Tracy Ray are next week on the 15th. On the 22nd, Mr. Micah Hanks, which he's a UFO, a little bit of everything type guru. On the 29th, I have Miss Alexandra Holzer, Hans Holzer's daughter, who I hear people, you ask people who their heroes are in the paranormal. You see this every once in a while on Facebook, and they'll put Zach Baggins, and it's like, oh, Christ, kids. You want to learn something. You don't learn anything from him. You pick up an old Hans Holzer book and read it. Then there's also that's going to be a two-part show. Janice Carlson, who is a medium and an author, really cool stuff. May 6th, Dr. Chantel Lisette, she is a angelologist, which that ought to be pretty good. 13th, I have Larry Arnold, which is the spontaneous. He wrote a book on spontaneous combustion. The second half of the show I haven't got scheduled yet. I still need someone for the second half of that show. May 20th, Mr. David Roundtree, EVP specialist extraordinaire and everything. He's going to be on. And then bringing up the end of May 27th, is Mr. Larry Stone. He wrote a book on the real life of Noah. So, and I've listened to one of his interviews, and it's just really interesting. And now with the movie Noah being out, just seemed kind of right thing. I wish I could have had him in April, but I just couldn't work out. So we got some good shows coming up, and I am just getting ready to start working on June, and we'll see how that goes. And folks, don't forget to try to tune in Saturday night, the 12th, from 6 until 7. I think that's right. If not, I will let you all know. I'm going to try to do a live remote there at Springfield, and I've already talked to a couple of pair of celebrities to get them interviews, and they've agreed. And we'll see what kind of trouble I can get into there in Springfield. So anyway, again, Sharon, thank you very much for being on the show. Everybody that was listening earlier, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll just try to keep this momentum going and get you some good people on here and get you all wondering and keep you all wondering. That's what it's all about. If you want to be a true paranormal geek, you got to have an open mind. And so we're going to talk a little bit about everything here. Some of you might agree with, some of you don't agree with. I got a little bit of static over all the UFO shows. But, you know, they're out there too, whether you want to believe it or not. You know, if you don't like it, don't listen to the show. But anyway, you all have a great evening. Sharon, love you. Have a great night.
Okay, you too.
And God bless everybody. Good night, all.
Bye.